what you see happening on one is what's happening on two. The perfect orientation that one has, two doesn't lose it. You know, yes, with the sacrifices made, definitely, but overall, you get similarly the exact same living experience. Why is everyone building classes, and what's the obsession, what's the appeal of classes? I think I'll tackle this from two standpoints. Firstly, to the developer, clusters present an opportunity to maximize on what you can do with land. You actually get value from your land. Think of this, you have a 5,000 square meter piece of land where you could ideally build one big house and maybe one outbuilding. You could potentially build 12, 14 apartments there. The beauty of it is you're dealing with the economies of scale. So whereas where would you have gotten one high value rental per month, and it's also quite difficult in terms of capturing that sort of market, would pay $6,000 to stay at a place. What are the odds? If you can pay $6,000, you might as well buy the place, right? So when you then, compartmentalize parcels of land and you develop units on which you can have a much lower income, which is more attractive to a broader demographic, you then get the opportunity to tap into that. So where you can actually build 12 units and have them going for $1,200 per month in rentals, this is asking for 8,000. So you definitely win, you get more. So that's the appeal of cluster development units. Also, you do realize as a developer, ideally at a place where you would have built roads and services for one unit, you then get to do so much more for less, right? Think of the road size, think of the amount of work in terms of servicing. Yes, definitely it does reflect on this new density that you've applied, but in a way it's not a density that then drastically changes things. You can still do proportionally a bit more, but within a reasonable limit. Unlike if you're going to service 20 stands, definitely the costs associated there are much more different. The other thing that makes clusters very attractive to developers is the guaranteed income. With the sort of situation on the rental market, there's high demand for good quality housing, but then at the same time, it has to be within a reasonable spectrum that's attractive to people who are, just looking to rent a space and have somewhere decent to stay without having to go through and grapple with the issues that come with living on a standalone house. So one of the issues that I realized people actually look at clusters for is security. So on the part of the end user, clusters then become very attractive because of the security that you're offered. I think the other thing that makes clusters very, very attractive for developers is the idea that you can bundle up a bunch of services, and that way makes life easier for the end user, and in so many ways you can then get much more out of a rental. So think of the idea of having communal swimming pools or a club gym, a common gym. That definitely is something that's attractive to a person who's staying in that complex. So couple that with security, mobility, scratch away commuting to some other different place to access a certain facility. You have it all on the same site, That is definitely a big win. It's something that developers can continually, and incrementally and iteratively get money from by simply doing this once off of construction. So you build this building, it then becomes a gym, and over the lifespan of their development, it's consistently bringing you income, for you having it there. Then I'll flip sides and go to the side of the end user. Clusters are very attractive for security, like I mentioned. This idea that you have a gated system with proper security, place that's guarded, it gives you a sense of security that nothing will happen. And even in the event that, there is a break-in, you obviously have some kind of comfort knowing that you can call out for help immediately from your neighbors. One of the things that makes clusters attractive as well is the idea of being in a community. In as much as people love their privacy, but just this idea of a sense of community is something that people are mostly on the lookout for. Clusters also have a way of making you live in a house without actually living in a house, which I think is the magic of it all. If you get to have the experience of living in a well-designed community, you do appreciate that you can actually have the ultimate living experience of being in a house, minus the drawbacks that come with staying in a freestanding house. So clusters do have a lot of appeal. I'll talk briefly about the sort of demographic that's targeted by this sort of developments. You have newly wedded couples who are looking to start a family. They're looking at young families. And even if you extrapolate that with the age and where people will be in their career normally, that's the sort of stage where people will ideally be acquiring land to build their own houses. So having that comfortable family home while you work on building your own is a very attractive idea. Then you also have, expatriates, people working in embassies, people that work for companies. Those people also find a certain class of cluster development attractive. You have scenarios where a whole cluster development can be taken up by a particular embassy or an organization. That becomes also a win-win because on the part of the developer, they don't have to go around chasing 12 different people to get rentals, for example. It's just one company taking care of all of that. And also, the other demographic that's also attracted to cluster developments are business owners. There are people in kinds of businesses that require high security, and clusters easily offer that. So a cluster development can easily turn from a residential development to a business complex, which then makes a lot of sense for people within certain industries. For example, people in mining, they definitely want a very secure place where a heist cannot just easily happen because you have the security and all the measures in place. And also in terms of filtering who gets to see what sort of business goes on there, the sort of the arrangement that comes with cluster units is highly attractive. Cluster units are also very attractive for retirement people. You look at old age people, I think some of you are aware of Nandaro village, which is basically a cluster development for retired people. It gives them a sense of community because with old age comes loneliness, having gone through life. And so clusters in a way give that balance to give them a sense of community with people who are also relatable. There is so much in terms of appeal, in terms of the demographic that can find appeal with clusters. Back again to the developer, it's very essential for you to really decide what exactly you're going for. And when you decide what you want to go for, you go at it with everything you have, with all the advantages you have. I think I'll talk about what to think about when you want to invest in cluster development in another video. But I think for today, that's about it for me. See you again next time. Cheers. So this is a 2x8 diagram showing the site plan of what could be, of a cluster development. And for interest sake, north is actually up this way, which is a great thing, which means we're not going to utilize the entire site. This house has to stay, for example. In most cases, that's what you have. So you'll have an access into the site that way. And essentially, this is all of the land that's buildable. So essentially, you should have your units, coming out, being placed somewhere along there. Naturally, this being the front, it becomes the public space. And this being the one where people can access becomes the backyards. So it becomes the garden space at the back. But this is how I'll do it. I'll make sure that since north is this way, the shorter sides of my building are eastern and western facing. Now I'd have my living spaces on this half of the house and all the service spaces and the less important space in the back. The mistake I will then make is to then mirror this along this wall if we were to make duplex units in an effort to save space. What I'll do instead is create a bit of space between the two, right? And then go on to take the exact same unit and place it right next to that. That way, whatever advantages I had here, I don't lose them necessarily because I've chosen to, have the exact same unit or arrangement replicated across the entire thing. So then you already have a duplex and you continue and carry that on. I'm just gonna slide through and show you something close to what I've just done here. So you see what we did with these units is what you see happening on one is what's happening on two. The perfect orientation that one has, two doesn't lose it, Yes, with the sacrifices made, definitely. But overall, you get similarly the exact same living experience. Then in terms of the layout, as you can see there, whatever is going on one unit is the same that's going on and on and on and on and on. And we love this orientation, we love this reform because it allows us to create surfaces on which we can do solar harvesting for solar panels. A little peek into those little backyards, this is what it could look like. But well, it's all subject to what you have and what sort of conditions you require to fulfill. So that's about it from me. I hope to catch you guys next time. Thanks a lot. Cheers.